And so what did happen? Because it's such a mystery to me about the sort of the lost month of preparation. Certainly, I mean, in many countries, and certainly in the US, where we are. Were you on the phone to people during early February, late January, early February, saying, guys, what's going on? This is a really big deal. What are we doing? What was happening behind the scenes during that period?
Take one goddamn guess.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Patent pocket. You take the dollar, dollar. Can a damn soul stop it? Here comes the new kid on the block. Hold on your bets. Here's where the buck stops. See, first of all, I'm stepping out on my own. About time I elevated to claim my own throne. Success in my blood, call it homegrown. Puerto Rican testosterone. Power and money got me crazy cocky. No longer need you, poppy. I know you're mad because you can't stop me. And if you wonder how this player done scooped your honey, I think she smell my cologne. It's called brand new money. Making major moves, man, ain't a damn thing funny. Pimpin' hood rats, the Playboy bunnies. They see the... They see it, they see it. Say what? Money. I'm global dollar and roll with Val Fitty. Like to go out smelling fresh and looking spiffy. Don't like clean money, I want my wrist to be filthy. Plus with their retirement fund, I can't touch till I'm 60. So what am I supposed to do? Rolling through. Steady patting them pockets till I'm stacking holding two. Ching, ching, bling, bling, catching cash and lump. It's a polo, get a jacket, I'm selling them out my trunk. Whenever, whatever, it takes to shake down a dollar. Must go in that direction, wait a minute, holla, holla. All wants to know where they go, where they winning. A Mick and Marshall Monday smelling just like a mint.
Congressional leaders appear to have reached agreement on what is by far the biggest stimulus package in U.S. history. Democrats voted the bill down twice, arguing that $500 billion allocated for bailing out big business lacked accountability.
Here comes the number that you've been waiting for. We have secured a fantastic. I get the scoop. I'm able to reveal it. I'm proud to say we have secured a fantastic $8.8 billion for Gabby's vital work over 5 years. So take a bow, everybody. I want to say a particular thanks, obviously, to you, to Bill, and to Melinda Gates.
Today we're announcing the first phase of Canada's COVID-19 economic response plan. We'll provide $27 billion.
Here comes the money.
The federal government is also trying to do its part, announcing earlier a federal stimulus package of more than 17 billion Australian dollars. It is reportedly considering another stimulus package as well.
Where have all these hundreds of billions in COVID relief government handouts of taxpayers' money gone? Many hundreds of millionaires and billionaires have received free money amounting to hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayers' money, including the following recipients. Luxury private jet airlines received hundreds of millions of dollars under the aviation program of the CARS COVID Relief Act, and tens of millions in PPP COVID funds. These include companies like Clay Lacy Airlines, that prides itself on its celebrity and VIP client base, receiving $27 million in CARES funding, and $10 million in PPP funds. Another luxury private jet company called JetLinks received $20 million from the aviation program, and an additional $10 million in PPP funds. Soho House, an exclusive, luxury members club owned by billionaire Ron Burkle, received $32 million of taxpayers' funds through its New York, Miami Beach, Chicago, and West Hollywood locations. The Greenbrier Hotel, the famed luxury resort owned by billionaire Governor Jim Justice, received $10 million from taxpayers. The Greenbrier Sporting Club, next to the hotel, also received $2 million. Gore's Vital Holdings, part of the company controlled by tech billionaire Alec Gores, is listed as having received $5 to $10 million bailout of taxpayers' money. These are just a fraction of the companies that we know about, because the U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin told Congress that he intends to keep secret the names of the businesses that have received more than $500 billion in free cash during the pandemic, claiming the information is confidential.
You talk about returning to some semblance of normal. What are we saying that looks like? I mean, you mentioned keeping up social distancing. What could life look like, say, 6 months, a year from now? There's still some of these steps we're taking now, they would remain in effect?
But there will be some things where the benefit to the risk, like large public gatherings, may not resume until broad vaccination has taken place.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, bling, bling. The chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Patent pocket. Take the dollar, dollar. Can a damn soul stop it?
Shares of Moderna shot up nearly 10% at the market open before pairing their gains Wednesday, one day after President Donald Trump announced the U.S. would buy 100 million doses of its COVID-19 vaccine candidate. Analysts said the deal confirms Moderna's experimental vaccine is one of the leading contenders and that its $1.5 billion supply deal could lead to similar deals with other countries.
Monday morning, 90 million doses of potential coronavirus vaccines have been secured by the government after deals with overseas developers.
And the federal government is close to sealing international deals to produce the immunisations in Australia.
Coronavirus. I think the world is moving closer to a vaccine, and it's unlikely that it will be just one. It's likely that it will be many.
Of the 160 vaccines under development, Australia is close to striking supply deals with international candidates.
To produce vaccines under contract from around the world.
One is expected to be for Oxford University's promising vaccine, and both could be made in Australia by CSL.
Which can produce the vast majority of vaccines under licence.
The government is also helping to fund a University of Queensland trial, but Labor says it should be offering more cash.
The government is expected to declare just who it struck vaccine deals with this week, but the opposition says it's moving too slowly.
The United States has 6 of these agreements already, the United Kingdom 3, Japan 3.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
But we begin with this country's efforts to acquire a vaccine for COVID-19. The federal government has signed a deal with Pfizer and Moderna to secure millions of doses of their vaccine candidates in 2021. Last week, both companies began phase 3 clinical trials. That's when the vaccine is given to thousands of people. The government says it also plans to make orders with multiple other companies.
The current official estimate of the global cost to taxpayers to be paid to pharmaceutical companies for the COVID-19 vaccine is $160 billion.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
V-COVID is the new digital health passport developed by the multi-award-winning British cybersecurity firm VST Enterprises. V-COVID is powered by the revolutionary and patented V-Code and V-Platform technology.
In parts of Europe, immunity passports are being considered for people who are believed to be immune to the coronavirus. While in China, some cities have already implemented QR codes that generate a color in order for officials to enable how freely an individual may move around outdoors. In Canada, some government officials are considering a contact tracing app. However, there are some experts who think a digital immunity passport may be beneficial.
We've created a Canadian app called Can Immunize, which is a digital immunization application, and we've been working with Canada Health Infoway on.
Yeah, I wish that all our jobs could be done from home as well as your job and my job, but for people who are in restaurants or factories or construction or cleaning, they're looking at their livelihood going away. And so sadly, like many bad things, those who are in the toughest circumstances are going to bear most of the pain. And
17 million more Americans could now face hunger because of the coronavirus pandemic.
Across the U.S., the COVID-19 crisis is also a hunger crisis. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, about 11% of U.S. households were food insecure at some point in 2018. The coronavirus pandemic has made that much worse for many Americans. In hard-hit New York, the coronavirus outbreak has made a bad situation even worse. Food banks, where people can pick up donated items, are struggling to keep up.
New people, for the first time, are feeling like they're not going to know maybe where their next meal is going to come from.
In California, food banks are overwhelmed with new clients.
Right now, the need has increased by 200 to 400% at a majority of our distribution lines.
In Washington state, site of the first major U.S. outbreak, food donations have been down.
I've never seen it empty at all. Usually there's a lot of boxes on here of different things, and everything's usually 2 crates. We take out a lot every day, but I've never seen it this low.
As need across the country goes up.
We will have to do some mass distributions in places that we have never distributed from before. Maybe parking lots if the weather permits, or other covered areas that we can get access to.
Particularly hard hit are families with children who rely on schools to provide them lunch and sometimes breakfast. Across the U.S., school systems are trying to find ways to get food to those kids, and we're seeing restaurants like this diner outside Washington, D.C. partner with local nonprofits to distribute food to those kids and their families.
Would you like some butter?
This community centre in White City is a place for people down on their luck, and the virus has increased those numbers.
The most dramatic change is the need. For instance, yesterday we gave out in one day what we would normally give out in a week. We're already London's busiest food bank. You have given out in one day what we normally give out in 1 week is unprecedented.
We've spoken to a dozen food banks across the country reporting similar increases. A lot of the users are new, previously self-employed, working mums whose part-time jobs have gone. Many don't want their faces shown. Kim is here to collect food for a disabled friend, but having lost her income from working in a pie shop, she might soon be collecting for herself.
I'm not working, so I've lost my job through this.
And how long do you think you can carry on for before you have to start using the food banks yourself?
Maybe about another month, maybe, because I've been using some savings that I had as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's difficult times. It really is.
So now the project has taken on a whole new dimension: delivery. These boxes are being packed up with supplies to last families for 4 days. This cavernous space is Olympia, and in normal times it would have just hosted the ideal home show. Instead of a glamorous exhibition offering home designs, this hall is now dedicated to something much more pressing: getting food into people's cupboards. They're delivering to about 100 homes today, but they expect that daily figure to rise.
When you add up the numbers, billionaires in the United States have increased their total net worth $637 billion during the COVID-19 pandemic.